Hey YouTube, Calvin here from Wild Wednesdays. On this episode, we talk about setting boundaries, getting rid of negative friends, and making more cash. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and check out the show. Welcome to Wild Wednesdays. If you are checking us on the podcast, make sure you subscribe and you also give us a review. So let's jump into it. I don't know what the questions are, but we're going to go through them.
Alrighty, so we've categorized our questions into our 4 key areas of life, which is wellness, income, love, lifestyle, and direction. So the first question comes from Sam H and is in the area of wellness. I recently discovered I have very high levels of cortisol. I'm currently seeing a naturopath who has prescribed a nutrition protocol for me. What can I do on top of this to lower my cortisol levels other than meditation, as I'm already doing this?
Okay, so already seeing a naturopath and you're reaching out. Okay, so this is a really powerful question. If you're experiencing stress, obviously we know that there's a lot of contributing factors to that, but mindfulness and meditation is one. Now you're already doing that, which is excellent. And I guess where I want to go with that question is, what can you actually do to reduce your cortisol levels? Well, you already have a plan in place. It's just about executing the plan. I see a heap of people that come along to our live events that already have a mentor or already have a guide or already have someone that's supporting them, but they question that and they keep asking for more information. So Sam, you've already gone to see a specialist that can help you in that area. You've got a naturopath on board. You're already as well doing mental health work. So you already have a game plan. You don't need any more information, because here's something that's important. If you keep asking enough people, you're going to get a million different answers, which is only going to confuse you and cause you to be in a position where you doubt the information you already got. So you already paid money to go and see a naturopath. Trust them. If you don't trust them, find another one. But the premise being is you've already got a game plan. Just execute on that game plan. And obviously you're already doing mindset. That would be literally the only thing I would encourage you to do. And perhaps also be aware of your food, and also looking at some of your lifestyle design factors as well. Cortisol, for those of you who don't know, is a stress hormone. It's the fight or flight response. Now, breathing, meditation can have tremendous impacts on that. But also, if you've got a stressful fucking life and you're out there at the moment and your life is mayhem and you're going to constantly be in that fight or flight position, well, then maybe you need to look at some of the bigger picture structures of your life. But ultimately, if you've got some hormone stuff already that your naturopath is recommending you, follow along with that as well. And then let's look at some of the factors, because cortisol is a stress response. It's a response hormone. It's not a precursor hormone, meaning that something in your life is creating stress. So identify what that is, and then let's work through those structures to be able to release that as well. So hopefully that helps, Sam.
Awesome. Next question comes from Belinda C and is in the area of income. I feel like
Show me the money, Belinda. Show me the money.
I feel like I'm living week to week and never seem to be able to save. How can I start to save some cash?
Great question. So living week to week and struggling to save. Okay, well, first thing, it's good you asked this question, because I've just finished doing a 5-day quick cash program. By the way, we're doing the next one in a week's time. If you want to get access to it as well, let us know, and we'll actually happily give you a free pass to join us for the 5-day quick cash. So this is what I would do. I just basically go through the 5-day quick cash program. First step is, if you're living week to week right now, a couple of things. You've got to raise your standards, because in life, particularly financially, people always have just enough. You have just enough to pay your bills. You have just enough to put food on the table for you and your family. And then something happens that stretches you, and now you have to find more money. So you could either do that by default or by design. And so you've got to raise your standards. You've got to go to another level, and you've got to allow yourself to become now uncomfortable and start to stretch your goals and your outcomes. I'll give you a perfect example. We're in this beautiful home now. This is about 50% more in rent than my last house. And of course, it's always going to be a stretch when you're expending more money. But the reality is, we wanted to have a better quality lifestyle. We live a couple hundred meters from the beach. We have an incredible home, 2 stories with a turret on the top. It's stunning. Well, just find a way to make it happen. Put yourself in an uncomfortable position, and then you'll figure it out. We're never going to not pay our rent, right? So that would be one thing. Number 2 is, if you're living week to week, there's a function of income based on income earned and income paid, as in expenses. And one of the things my dad shared to me when I was growing up, he says, son, it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep. So money that's out of sight, out of mind is the best use. So what I would do for you is, number 1, I don't care how much you're making right now, I would get your employer, whoever's paying you, to take 10% off the top before it hits your account and put that in a separate savings account. It's forced savings. Now in Australia, we do that through superannuation, but you never see that money. I want it to come out of your account. Now, you're not going to notice 10% because if you're living on $500 a week, that's $50. If you're living on 1,000, it's $100. It's virtually nothing. The point being is it's got to come out before you see it so that that can go into a separate account. And I'm not the first person to share this. Barefoot Investors and others have talked about it. So that would be one thing I would do. Then when I've got that set up, and ideally it's an account that you don't have a card access to, it's an account that you can't access that easily. There's designed to be some friction in it, otherwise you'll just spend it. Then the next thing that I would do as part of that as well is I would look at where's my money going. We utilize an app, what's it called, Pocketbook? Download Pocketbook. It's free, providing that you share it with somebody else, it's a great app. We use it, and it'll actually it'll order all of your accounts and your spending, and it'll actually show you where you're at. And then from there, I would encourage you, and by the way, we do this in the 5-day quick cash program, and it is a paid program, but because this is the first Wild Wednesday we're doing, if you want, check us a post below. I'll give you access to it. It starts on Monday again. We have what's called the SSN framework, which is stop, substitute, negotiate. Stop spending money on some stupid shit. Substitute some products for cheaper products, or even just for cheaper sources, i.e. buying stuff online. And then finally negotiate, see if you can try and negotiate down some wages to try and free up some cash flow. That's what I would do on the expense side. On the income side, I'd be asking for a pay rise. I'd be working overtime. I'd be getting a second or third job. You know, we're blessed in Australia that we have an easy life. You go to the US, you go to the UK, people work 3-4 jobs to get by, because there's no base income. It costs, I think that $7 an hour is the minimum wage. So, you know, we are already living in the promised land. So you've got to find a way to make more money. If you haven't asked for a pay rise, go and ask for a pay rise. Go out there and put yourself in a position to make yourself feel uncomfortable and start actually making some more money. And if you're in a job that's not paying you enough, quit and go and get a real job and start making some extra cash. Because living week to week can be a circumstance, but living week to week ultimately is a choice. And you're choosing to continue to live week to week unless you do something dramatically different. So hopefully there's plenty of good stuff in there as a starting point, but circle back to us and let us know when you implement that stuff, how much money you save, and start getting excited about that process.
Awesome. Next question comes from Eleanor G and is in the area of lifestyle.
I think I know Eleanor. Hey Eleanor, I think you're even watching online. Hey Eleanor, what's up? Go and get a cat. Eleanor needs to get a cat. That's what she needs to. Is that the question? Should I get a cat? The answer is yes.
No, that's not the question.
We'll give her a Gusti.
How do you avoid burnout or come back from a burnt out period?
Okay. How do you avoid burnout? I think one of the fundamental reasons why people burn out is because of this premise called work-life balance. And not in the way that you think I'm going to talk about it. So I believe work-life balance is one of the biggest lies that's been sold to our modern civilization. I believe that work-life balance is bullshit. Because I believe that if you're trying to balance work and life, the gig is already over. Because our world is not designed to be balanced in that way. I think about it. You're going to work 40 hours a week. 40 hours a week. You're going to work. And then you're going to try and balance all the other stuff? No, you're not. What you're doing is I'm prioritizing work and I'm going to try and fit all the other shit in around it, right? Which is why so many people struggle to make that work. I don't. I remember Richard Branson once saying that it's not work and play for him, it's all work and it's all play all of the time. And that's the way that I chose to live my life 6 years ago when I started this business. So I don't have a life around my business, I have a business that's around my life. I've structured and organized my business and my purpose and my passion so that I get to do the things that I want to do every single day. And if I don't enjoy any of these things, I just don't do it. Now, obviously, that becomes a luxurious position to be in, but I want you to know that I worked my ass off for 6 years to be in this position where we have a team that can do those things as well. So one is, you've got to reject the idea that work-life balance exists. Instead, you've got to ask yourself, if I was to live my best life, if I was to be doing the things that I wanted to do with my life, when I want to do it, and who I want to do it with, then what would I be doing? And naturally, for some of you watching this, the question will be, I don't know. So that's awesome. That's great. You've got awareness now. Then go and figure it out. Invest the time to get clear on what you want to do with your life. Travel, see the world, read books, do stuff to create that self-awareness. Then from there, well then let's actually drill into this. Let's consider the answers to that. And if you've got some clarity, for me, it's speaking, training, communicating, building a business. That's what I want to do with my life. So then awesome. How do I do that? How do I find a way to get paid to do what I love? that's a much more empowered position to be in. Now, that's not going to happen overnight, but you can work towards that. And that'll allow you to get rid of some of the reasons why people burn out. Because people burn out not because of doing the work, but they burn out because they're constantly feeling the grind of doing the work. I don't feel the grind of doing the work. When we were on tour, and I'm in 3 countries in 5 days, and we've got back-to-back events, and I'm up late, and I'm speaking, I'm training, I'm running seminars, or when I'm doing back-to-back conferences and mastery programs, which go for, say 50 hours over 3 days, I'm not burnt out after that. I'm energized and fueled. I'm exhausted, but there's a difference between being exhausted and being burnt out. Exhausted is, oh my God, I'm loving this, but I'm knackered. Burnt out is when you're feeling the pressure and stress, you're sort of wearing that burden. So that would be my first principle overarching it. The second principle would be making sure you've got some recovery rituals. Ash is incredible for me because I would literally just work and work and work and work and work until I died. So she knows that rather than telling me to work or to stop working, instead she knows just to schedule time. So she'll take me and we'll do, a spa weekend at, the Crown Towers, or we'll take some R&R time out. We make sure we set up our day for success every morning. I don't do anything before 10 o'clock. You can't speak to me before 10 o'clock because I like to sleep in. I get up, we have a coffee, we walk our dog Shadow, we go to the beach, we go to the park, and we set our day up for success. I make sure I run my calendar around my life. And so I think there's importance of working hard, but then also when you're building something, putting in that R&R time. But I want you to understand that I've certainly experienced burnout. I remember being in a position where I was 19 trying to grow a non-profit organization. I just recruited 120 people in 48 hours, in 2 days. And I was so exhausted, I had nothing in the tank. And I didn't actually have the energy to even celebrate the accomplishment. I'm not sure if you've ever had that experience, Eleanor, but it's where you reach a point, you go, I've made it, but then you go, I've got nothing in the tank to even celebrate what I've accomplished. And I remember thinking to myself, there must be another way. And I believe there is. And the path of that is not to instead be a high achiever, but rather to actually put yourself out there with the intention of learning from people that are already doing it. Because when you're following a recipe, there is no stress, there's no burnout. You understand the time frame, you understand you can moderate your expectations, and then you can hopefully execute it. So to wrap that longer-winded conversation around, 1, reject work-life balance. Just do what it is you love to do and be unreasonable about that and find a way to make it happen. Number 2, schedule R&R time to make sure you're renewing and recharging yourself. We're not designed to work like cattle. We're not designed to work 8 hours a day on one thing. You're meant to hunt, eat, rest. Hunt, eat, rest, repeat. So there's days when I'm on, there's days when I'm not, and you balance that according to your how your energetic cycles are as well. Hopefully that helps.
Beautiful. Next.
By the way,
question.
if I answer the question well, I'd appreciate some feedback here from you guys.
Beautiful.
No, but you said it as if you've got a telephone voice.
It's almost like we're recording for a podcast here and we're trying to be professional.
We are recording, and the people on the podcast want to know that there's real people here as well.
There it is.
Hey guys on Facebook and Insta, hope you guys are going well. Give me some likes, some love, some comments, some shares. Give me some stuff here. Keep going.
Alright, next question. A little bit of a shift of gears comes from Alpha G and is in the area of love. So, Alpha would like to know.
Yes.
How do you set boundaries in a relationship in a positive and healthy way and feel heard?
How do you set boundaries in a relationship in a positive, healthy way and feel heard? Great question, Alpha G. Thank you for asking. It's a good question. How do you set boundaries in a relationship? I think part of that is just great communication. I think part of that is sitting down with your partner and understanding that there's going to be things in your relationship that you enjoy doing and things you don't. There's going to be things in the relationship that you're happy to go along with, and there's things that you're not. But you've got to have a conversation around where those boundaries are. And I think also understand that those boundaries are going to shift and change with people because people are always shifting and changing. So I think great quality conversations, great communication, I think is the cornerstone of a great relationship. And obviously the boundaries then fall in as part of that as well. My natural response is to consider why you need to have boundaries. I think about our relationship and I don't really think that there are boundaries in our relationship. Obviously, I think that there's certain levels of respect that we would both ensure. And so I guess there is some boundaries in terms of what we will and won't tolerate with one another. But it's not really something that we go, oh, look, I'm okay with this, I'm not okay with that. So I don't really know the context of the question, but I would say great communication is a great starting point. What was the second part of the question?
So setting the boundaries in a positive and healthy way and feeling heard.
Okay. Well, I think feeling heard is again comes back to that same point, which is about great communication. And I think it's important to understand that everyone communicates differently. Henry David Thoreau once said it so beautifully when he said that the biggest myth in communication is the illusion it's actually taking place. So in order for you to feel heard, if you're listening to this, it's vital that not only you express your own truth, but also that you express that truth in a way that connects with the other person and allows them to feel heard. And it's important, Alpa, to get this real clear. Just because you communicated at something and they understand it doesn't mean they have to agree with you. So if you think that you need to feel heard by, as in, what most people say is when I feel heard, it's not actually that I feel heard, that rather my partner agrees with me. They're not the same thing. I can agree with Ash, I can hear Ash and disagree with her. I still heard her. I still understand her point. I just don't have to say yes to that. So that's very important to understand that you're actually not looking for compliance, you're looking for love and trust and respect and tolerance. So how does that sort of fit in? I would say one, communication, and then number two, I would reiterate that point in communication and understanding that the myth in communication, it's the illusion it's taking place, and also that if you're trying to put a message across and it's not getting across, that's on you to change the message. You know, we say in our seminars that the meaning of the communication is the response it elicits. So if I'm communicating in a message of love and I'm getting a message of frustration back, well, I need to change how I'm communicating as part of that. And making sure you've got an accurate dialogue, a continual dialogue, because you might communicate the status quo now and that might shift for you. So you've got to be open and honest in having those conversations. And a little tactic that we use is 3 levels of conversation. Level 1, 2, and 3. Level 1 conversation is casual chit chat. Level 2 conversations are serious, but level 3 is like, hey, I'm breaking up with you, I'm leaving you, I'm pregnant, let's get married, conversations. They're high level. So frame to your partner, hey, these are the 3 different conversations that we can have so that you can have the harder conversations, because the hardest part of having hard conversations is bringing it up. So hopefully that helps.
Excellent. So,
Woo, woo, woo.
round of applause, guys. That was a great answer.
Positive reinforcement. It's like a dog.
The next question comes from Amanda Y and is in the area of wellness, but related to mindset. So, what tools can you use to remind yourself of your self-worth after some big blows in life, personally and professionally, especially when dealing with toxic people whom you have no choice but to interact with, i.e. a child's father?
Can you repeat the question? It's a long question.
Sure.
I appreciate the question, by the way. It's a good question, but it's a long one.
What tools can you use to remind yourself of your self-worth?
Tequila is the answer.
What?
Tequila.
After some big blows in life, personally and professionally. So then there's obviously toxic people in life that are bringing that out as well, that you can't just cut from your circle.
Who's the question from?
Amanda Y.
Amanda? Well, thank you for the question, Amanda. I think first you got to understand that the best of your life is the rest of your life. And Les Brown once said, if you get knocked down in life, try to land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. And I think that we're all going to have times when we get knocked down. The thing to remember is that's universal and it's not personal, right? Like life kicks everybody's ass. So you're going to understand that if you are getting knocked back, it's designed to actually refocus you on what you want, not what you don't want. Most people go through life only focusing on the mistakes, only focusing on the challenges, only focus on the problems, not focus on the solutions and the outcomes. So if you've had an experience of someone that is toxic, then you've got to get clear about, well, who do I actually want to have in my life now moving forward? So that's very, very, very important. Like, who do I want to have in my life moving forward? And it's the opposite of that. Sometimes you've got to know what you don't want to know what you want, number one. Number two, let's consider, why is somebody toxic? Clearly, if you had a child with this person, there was something not toxic about him in the beginning, or maybe you were attracted to that and you've got to work through the internal alignment stuff so you stop reflecting that in the world. I don't think it was Freud, but I'll say it was anyway. Freud said that you're constantly walking around projecting your subconscious blocks and barriers on the world as mirror reflections. So if you're seeing toxicity in somebody else, if you're having some friction, I'm always focused on, if I've got friction with somebody, where's that showing up in my own life? If I've got friction around someone being selfish, where am I being selfish in my own life? If I've got friction with somebody not being fully committed, where am I not being fully committed in my own life? You've got to see that you're constantly a reflection of the world around you. So that might be a tough pill to swallow, but that's quite important. But then in terms of how do you build back up your self-confidence, very important. One is emotional mastery. You've got to be doing something every single day, and I mean every day, to set yourself up for success, to feel phenomenal. We call that anchoring, and we teach it in our programs. It's something I learned from Gilbert and Arku, peak performance coach for the All Blacks. But you're going to be doing something every day to get yourself pumped, to get yourself fired up, to get yourself ready to go. That could be as simple as having crystals, right? Or it could be as something around having incantations and affirmations, quotes on your vision boards, music that you play, or physical movements that get you into the zone to start your day. Because I know that you will have something happen in your day as a mother, as a partner, as a friend, as a worker, whatever it might be. You'll have something happen in your day that's going to cause you to go off track. That's going to happen. Be prepared for it and act accordingly. That's very, very important. On top of that, I'd get you to write what I refer to as the 100 list. Now, this is a super powerful exercise, and I know many of you watching it's not going to do it because it's hard. But that's right, 100 things that you're proud of, 100 things that you've done in your life that you're really happy about. You know, you've been able to obviously have a child, right? You've been able to hold down a job. You've had great conversations. You've learned to read, write, talk, walk, drive a car, tie your shoes. You know, you've done all of these things. You got a pen license at one point, right? So you've done all of these things. What we've got to do is reinforce these things. Write a list of those 100 things. Don't stop until you get 100 things, big and small. And use that as your springboard to continue to reinforce how strong you feel about yourself. Because when you have moments of self-doubt, you've got to go back to moments of strength. And the best reference for that is moments where you've actually achieved things that are pretty incredible. If you've been able to bring life into this world, if you've been able to give birth to a child and hopefully raise a healthy, happy child, regardless if you're doing it with somebody or not. In fact, if you're doing it with someone that's an asshole, well, then it's even harder for you. If you can do that, then you can believe in yourself. Your kid probably believes in Santa Claus. Just believe in yourself. And that starts by laying a real foundation of going, you know what, I've done all of these great things so far and I'm still here. So if I'm still here, then let me move forward in my life as well. And also get rid of some people. You know, just because your child's father is not, you guys are not connecting right now, one doesn't mean it has to be toxic, but if it is toxic, just, ejecto that person, get rid of them from your life. Have somebody else, an intermediary, manage them. You know, your circle, you've got to really guard your circle and the energy of that. Make sure you focus your time and your attention on good quality people. Get more good quality people into your circle. I think that those things will make a huge impact.
Awesome.
That was a great answer, Calvin. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. And less of the bullshit.
All right, so I'm hoping I interpreted this next question correctly. It was quite a lot in it, so I've tried to make it as succinct as possible, but apologies if this is not what you were looking for. This is from Natalia M and is in the area of income. So, as a recently graduated international student, my career path requires me to volunteer a lot. I also have a job in retail, which has allowed me to pay my expenses, but how can I find a way to put my money to work more on my side while I'm volunteering? So I interpreted that as she wants to know how to make her money work for her while she's in this place of having to allocate a lot of her time resource to volunteer work.
Okay, so I think sometimes that we forget that our great-grandparents didn't consider being financially free. Our great-grandparents just worked, right? And I think that there's a lot of rhetoric in the marketplace in your personal development education of getting out of the rat race and making your money work for you. You know, I was at a seminar with 6,000 people the other day, and there was a guy that stood up, 16, 17 years old. He's like, should I drop out of school? I don't want to fall into the rat race. I mean, you don't even know what the rat race is. So with respect, it's like right now, if you're building a career, then your money is working for you. You've invested into education. If you're an overseas student, then it costs you a shitload more money than it should have to come and learn and to become educated. And I think there's a real issue in our culture around the cost of education. But nonetheless, you've invested money already. Your money is working for you. It's in self-education. Warren Buffett said the best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. So, you know, yes, okay, cool. Principle being, one, let's put a little bit of money away for a long-term investment. Do that straight away, 10%, you know, whatever you want to put it into, just do that. But forget about that. You don't use that as a distraction. Instead, go, how can I use the 90% of money that I do make to further accelerate my career development? And, you know, volunteering and you're being involved in charity shouldn't actually hold you back. Instead, it should accelerate. If you're doing it well, if you're doing it in the right groups, it should accelerate your networks, your connections, and your job opportunities. And, you know, start to volunteer in the right places. So, you know, I don't think that that's actually a friction point for you. I think instead it's just understanding that, you know, Simon Sinek said it so well. He says, don't be concerned by how quickly you're moving through life. Be concerned how fully you're showing up. You know, I just recorded a video before this actually talking about how if you looked at my results at 24, I'd done virtually nothing. If you looked at my results at 25, I'd made over $1 million. And that'll happen within 12 months. So you're only 12 months away, but you got to keep showing up, putting in the time, energy, and effort and the work. And you can still make money volunteering and contributing. You just got to, it's a different skill set. So make your money work by investing more and more and more of your money as possible into yourself, into learning and developing the skills. Not for what you need right now, but what you need in maybe 6 to 12 to 24 months from now, because leaders anticipate and act, followers hope and react. You've got to be considering, what do I need to learn to go to the next level? So hopefully that's the way that she's meant to frame it, right?
Awesome.
Agreed.
Next question comes from Sumili B and is in the area of direction. How can I make decisions for my own well-being and be empowered by my choices and not upset others, which is creating anxiety for me?
You can't. So you just got to just stop giving a shit, right? Like, you're not Kmart, you're not Target, you're not going to make everybody's happy. And even God, right, whoever you believe God is, by the way, even God hasn't got a universal coverage, right? Like, we're arguing, and people argue about 4 or 5 major religions on the planet. So if we can't even get consensus at that highest level, and there's debate, then the reality is, no matter what you do, someone's going to be mad at you, right? So someone's mad at you for not taking action, someone's mad at you for taking action. At the end of the day, this is the most important pill for you to swallow, which is that you've got to be fully committed to living life on your terms, not on anybody else's terms. And it's not actually a zero-sum game. When you live life on your own terms, everybody else gets a benefit from that. But when you live life on everybody else's terms, you're actually being selfish, because you're taking away the gifts and talents you could have given to the world, and instead you're only living on based of somebody else's perception of you. So you've got to have that hard conversation with whoever it is that you need to have it with, and actually have that conversation and say, hey, this is the pressure I'm feeling. By the way, it might not even be their pressure. You might just be assuming that pressure, but this is what I'm feeling at the moment. This is what I want to do with my life. We're going to have a clear conversation. This is my life. And I hate to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Coy, but you get one shot, one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted, right? They're powerful words. So you got to get clear on, what do I want to do with my life, and then be willing to back yourself to do that. And yes, you're going to make people upset. Yes, you're going to frustrate people. Yes, you're going to turn people away. That's okay. They're not meant to be on this journey with you. It is vital that you stop giving a fuck about what other people think of you and just get out there and care about what you want to do with your life. Because regret is poison. You're going to get decades from now wishing you'd done more sooner, and ultimately all the people you care about right now, as soon as something else is going on in your life, they're going to care about that as well. So you've got to double down on what you want to do, have a little bit of courage, stop needing validation and verification for everybody else, and actually just go, you know what, I'm going to live life on my terms. I'm going to do me, and that means you can do whatever you want to do as well. I'm not going to judge you from doing your own stuff. I'm going to do what I feel is the right thing for doing my own life. But part of that, by the way, comes with responsibility. I've been able to do that because I haven't been relying on other people in my life. So if you want to go out on your own, you've got to start to fill your boots as well and start to go, actually, hold on. If I'm backing myself here, I've got to back myself economically, financially, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I'm very self-reliant. That means I get a long leash with my family and friends because I don't ask anything of them. I'm not relying on them for anything. I'm very independent. And so as a result of that, I built that muscle, which means that when they have an opinion, it's like, I appreciate your opinion, but it doesn't matter, because I'm going to do what it is that I'm going to do. And it's important. They're doing it from a place of love oftentimes, but you got to understand this is your race. You got to run your own race.
Excellent. Powerful response. So the next question comes from Rochelle C. and is
Hey,
in the
Rochelle
area
C.
of love. Now, there's a few elements to this.
Okay,
so I'll
hit
break
me.
it down. How to be open to dating and finding love when you've given up. And this is due to not trusting her own judgment in men, telling herself she'll make it a priority once she has lost weight or started a job or has time.
Yep. Yeah, cool. So what's the actual beginning of the question?
How to be open to dating and finding love when you have given up.
Okay. So, look, here's the thing. You haven't, Rochelle, is it Rochelle? Yeah? You haven't given up. That's a load of shit. Because if you had given up, you wouldn't have even asked the question, right? What you want is a little bit of validation and attention to go, it's okay. And it is okay. Now, life and love is a full contact sport. And if you're playing the game and you're putting your walls and your shields up, then you're going to have the same problem. And most people find themselves in a position where they've had something happen in their lives, where they've modeled people around them, and they start to attract people into their lives that follow a very similar pattern. I'll give you a very simple, powerful example. going through primary school and high school, all my friends were women. My best mates, if I did have male friends, all had one thing in common, that their fathers weren't in their lives. And, for me, I had an experience when I was earlier in my life, when I was about 7 or 8 years old. Mum and dad separated, and I took on the role of the father figure in my family. Now, I have an amazing dad, and he's been there for me the whole time. But when dad left, when mum left, with me and my sister, I felt the need to fill the void. And so there was a moment in my life where I became somebody, where I became a father figure. I became very mature very, very quickly. And as a result of that, I started to attract and be attracted to people that were going to continue to reinforce that pattern. So every single woman that I dated for the first 27 years of my life had issues with their dads. Every guy that I was friends with had issues with their dads. My best friend when I was growing up, Quinn, didn't know his dad until he was in his late 20s. Going through high school and university, I had friends, all of them had those issues. All my girlfriends when I was going through high school had those issues. One of my mates when I was starting this business, Trav, his dad had been killed when he was 18. One of my right-hand men, Jules, who is now running a company called Happiness Co., lost his dad to suicide as well at 18. A lot of my good friends around me all had that in common. Why? Because I was facilitating that need for them, and they were facilitating that need for me. There was something that I needed to learn about being a man, about being a father figure, about being a role model that I just wasn't seeing. And then it was so obvious to me. It's like, Jesus, there's a pattern of behavior here that I'm seeing. So, Rochelle, if you keep attracting dickheads, well, that's as much a reflection on you as it is on them. But the aim of the game is not to quit. The aim of the game is to learn. Because if you don't learn, if you quit, if you give up on this process, then what you're seeing is that they are better than me and I'm an idiot. I can't actually figure this out. And the reality is you can. So you've got to be aware of what is it in me that's attracting those people, and don't give up, go deeper into it. When you're getting that friction point, lean into that friction. Start doing the inner work, start reading the books, attending the seminars. Lord, no, we can help you to do the internal alignment work. What are my beliefs, my values, my emotions, my patterns of behavior, my self-sabotage, conflicts inside of myself that keep showing up in this area that are designed to show me what I'm attracting in myself. And if you can heal that version of yourself, then you're no longer going to be attracted to that. You're going to see the game for what it is. And much like, if you remember this as a kid, there were certain things as a kid that you used to eat, you don't eat anymore. And vice versa. There are things that you couldn't eat as a kid that you can eat now. Your taste buds evolve and change. Saying that you've given up on dating is like saying that you've had food that you don't like and now you're not going to eat again because you don't trust your taste in food, right? That's just stupidity. So in the same principle, it's crazy to think that you're just going to give up on dating. The reality is, it's like if you have a type and that type's not working, then change the type. But if you keep trying to change the outside, you're putting a band-aid on the situation. You've got to change the inside. You've got to do the inner work to understand, why was I attracted to that guy in the first place? Or that girl, no judgment. That guy or girl in the first place. Why do I keep following in these patterns of behavior? How do I take a relationship that sounds exciting in the beginning and how does it become toxic? Who am I in this experience and who are they? And people ask us all the time, and it might even be a question later today, what do I have to do to find my dream partner? The answer to that is be your dream partner. Be the best version of yourself, and then they will show up as part of that process. So one, take the lessons and the learnings from that experience and know that, hey, at the end of the day, if you keep showing up and doing your best stuff, you're going to attract yourself. Do the inner work as part of that. Learn the lessons that you did before. And remember that, in order to be successful in life, it doesn't matter where you start, it matters where you finish. And I didn't always make the best decisions in my early days in relationships, but I'm here now and I've got an incredible wife standing behind this camera. And if I had given up, I wouldn't have her in my life. And so you've got to understand that there is a pot of gold waiting at the end of the rainbow for you. There is an Ashley Barrett in some capacity, way, shape or form in your life waiting for you. She's just waiting for you to show up, or he's just waiting for you to show up. The good ones are not gone. They're just waiting for you to be one of them as well. And so if you give up, you're saying to the world that I don't have what it takes, and that's utter bullshit. So step up, be bold, and start making some things happen again, and start having some fun with this process. Turn it into a game. In the most sincere way of learning and developing yourself, not in this sort of winner-takes-all approach that you've got to fit it at the moment.
Beautiful. Just would like to make an amendment to that response. My name is Ashley Coyles.
Well, it was Ashley Barrett when I met her, and then you have to sell them and win them over.
Yeah.
Still not legally Ashley Coyles, but we won't go there.
So I think we've got time for 2 more questions. So I'm going to choose 2 of the best. We've got a question here from Georgie C. and
Hey,
this-
Georgie C.
This is in the area of direction. So how can you embrace fear and challenges in a good way when you're out of your routine instead of letting anxiety set in?
How can you embrace fear and challenges in a good way rather than having anxiety set in? Real simple. Use the emotion, don't let the emotion use you. When you're experiencing anxiety, when you're experiencing discomfort, one of my favorite quotes is that fear, nervousness, anxiety, and pressure is your soul's compass towards growth. I'll repeat that because you're going to want to replay it. Fear, nervousness, anxiety, and pressure is your soul's compass towards growth. If you're not feeling those things, there's no friction in your life. You're not actually trying to stretch yourself and go further forward. So when you feel it, lean into it. Keep attacking it. Will Smith once said, he says, he attacks the things that he's afraid of. The biggest fear he has is the fear of fear itself. You know, you've got to pursue those things. Anytime I feel nervous, anytime I feel a sense of discomfort, anytime I feel a sense of anxiety, I go, wow, this is going to be an incredible experience because I don't feel that often. You've got to constantly be stretching yourself and pushing yourself to the next level. So dominate your fear. Don't try to meditate yourself around it. Don't try to write it on your vision board. Don't try to dance your way through it. Dominate it. You use that emotion and then channel it into, I don't care if you're shitting yourself, nervous and scared, but at least use the energy in motion, use that in that propensity to actually go out there and do amazing things. Channel it and focus the nervousness and the excitement and understand that it's just a label. If you go on a roller coaster ride, you compare that to someone that's having a panic attack, it's the same physiological symptoms. The only distinction is the mentality. Is you labeling it either as excitement and nervous excitement or nervous anxiety. But ultimately, physiologically, it's exactly the same chemical in the brain. And your brain doesn't know what's right and wrong, what's right and real. So you got to command the brain and tell it what you want it to do. And so it's like, yeah, feel the fear, but do it anyway. And so it's like when you feel the desire to pull back, then attack it straight away, go straight into that emotion and push through that and have something compelling that you're actually working towards.
Awesome. So last question here. And we're going to go, this one's from Rochelle again, and is in the area of lifestyle. How can I change my friendship circle without offending or hurting those that I know I need to walk away from?
Okay, Rochelle, I'm going to show you a very special, important part, okay? I want you to take your thumb. Everyone do this for me at home, okay? You're going to take your hand like this, make it into a thumb, make it into a thumb, make it into a fist, put your thumb on top. I want you to imagine this is a magic button, Rochelle, right? When you click this button, something's going to happen. You're going to click it, you're going to do this, you're going to say, ejectocito, motherfucker, right? If you've got people in your life right now that you're not liking, you got to ejectocito them. And I want you to understand that if you've got people in your life that are toxic, that are negative, that are holding you back, that are cutting you down, it's time to get rid. It's real simple. Get rid of them. Stop calling them, stop texting them, stop speaking to them, stop engaging in them, stop giving them energy, stop following them on Facebook and Instagram, block their ass, because at the end of the day, this is your life. And I'm not trying to be bullish unnecessarily, but I want you to understand that I share this because it's so important. We've lost friends. I've seen my wife have some tremendous friendships completely deteriorate for no other reason than jealousy. And people that were meant to be in her corner, that in her biggest moments have become toxic and vicious and bitchy and I just have no space for it. And she gives them so much space and time because she's so compassionate and so tolerant, and I just don't have space or time for that. So it's like, hey, I am the most loyal, loving, trusting, compassionate, generous friend you'll find when you are fully on board and supportive. But if I even get a sense that you're being a douche, well then guess what? You're out of the circle. And so it's so important to understand. And by the way, it's hard to do it first, and then after a while you just get better at it, right? In the beginning it's tough because you've got people in your life that you've been with friends for a long time, but the reality is, what are you actually adding value to each other's lives? You're actually taking away time from them. You're taking away a great friend from them because you're only really going to have 5 or 6 great friends. So if you're hanging around with people and it's toxic for you, it's also toxic for them. You might be triggering them in a really positive way. They might not see it yet. You got to give them the space to do that. If it's not a fuck yes, it's a no. So if this person in your life is not adding value, they're subtracting value. If they're not taking you to the next level, they're taking you away from the next level. I want you to really understand that. I've got time and space for so many people, but in terms of the people I actively spend time with, the people I invest time and energy into, the people that I want to see win and succeed at a really deep level, it's a very small group of people. It's a very small group of people. And you can't put a price on how important it is to have a strong circle around you, to have nothing but positive energy, love, and light heading you in the right direction. And I want you to understand that you might listen to this and go, well, it's not that simple. It is that simple. I had a relationship, a friendship, a business partnership that went toxic. It cost me $1 million. I walked away from a business partnership and it cost me $1 million for one reason. The energy was toxic. Beautiful people, but the energy was toxic in that moment. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to be surrounded by negative people. But also I want you to understand as well, don't indulge in it. We had a member of our team, this is going back probably about a year ago, I think, who was dealing with some negative things in her social circle, was constantly on Instagram and Facebook checking in with people. I'm like, hey, stop feeding the beast. Delete and block. Well, I can't delete. You can delete and block. You just don't want to because you like the significance. You like having the attention. Cut them off and move forward. And by the way, there's a great book by Jim Collins called Good to Great. I don't know if it's on the bookshelf, but there's a great book called Good to Great by Jim Collins. And you've got to be willing to get rid of good to have great. Now, in this case, Rochelle, if you're asking this question, you've got average, you've got pretty poor, you've got terrible. So it's easy to get rid of those. But you've got to be willing to have a space of nothingness. You've got to be willing to have nothing in your life to create the space for something magnificent in your life. But stop accepting mediocrity and raise your standards and have a conversation. I'm not encouraging you to cut off people without the dialogue, but have the dialogue and say, hey, I want to be clear and upfront with you. I want us to be incredible friends. We've been incredible friends, but our current dynamic's not working for me. Our current dynamic is negative and toxic. This is the experience that I'm having. Now, I'm in your corner, but I need you to understand this is what I expect from this dialogue. This is what I expect from our relationship moving forward. If you're willing to play this game with me, then I'm in your corner. But if you're not, we should just call it now and move our separate ways. And if they're on the bus, then excellent. Then let's move together. But if you're not on the bus, then get off the bus because the bus is moving somewhere and those people are only going to continue to hold you back as well. You have no idea how amazing it can be to be surrounded by incredible people. Those incredible people are never coming into your life, though, if you've still got all of the dead weight and the baggage from the past.
Awesome. So that's all we have time for today.
Woo! I don't know, how long was that?
About 50 minutes.
Well, I appreciate everybody's questions and comments. Thank you so much. I really loved our first session. My back's a bit sore because I've been twisting around, so we're going to rejig the production studio next time. But I just want to say thank you to everybody for your questions. If you've got a question, just want to say thank you to everybody for your questions. If you've got a question, let us know. Give us a comment and a post. Send us a DM or a request. We'll be sure to answer them on our next Wild Wednesday, which will be obviously next Wednesday. If you're checking this out on our podcast as well, please make sure you subscribe and give us a review on iTunes. I know it's something small, but I promise you it makes a huge impact on our ability to reach more people. And if you're watching this on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, I'm not even sure if we're on Twitter, but if you're watching on Twitter and you're connecting in as well, please make sure you like and comment and share and subscribe for more information, more notifications. We hope to see you at one of our live events around the country over the next weeks and months. And until I see you live, online, on the podcast, or even answering one of your questions, be bold, have fun, make an impact, and I'll see you on the wild side. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you're still here, I want to make sure you like, comment, and subscribe and share this with somebody that can get value. Make sure you ask a question for next week's Wild Wednesday.